Welcome to the AI Business News Desk. Terry Sweeney here, contributing editor to AI Business, and joining me now is Var Shankar, Chair of Council on AI Governance. Var, thank you so much for joining us on the news desk today.
Thanks so much for having me, Terry.
We are talking about how organizations are governing AI, an important topic. Start, if you will, with some context and filling in what the legal landscape for AI use looks like in the US right now.
Sure. So the US doesn't have a federal AI law or even a federal privacy law, and Congress is gridlocked. And so organizations for AI governance are really looking to states. And the two states kind of leading the charge on this are Colorado and California. Colorado has an AI Act that's kind of already law, and that's going into effect for many of its important provisions in June of next year. And then California, its data privacy regulator has actually announced a kind of final rule for AI use. And so organizations here in the US are really looking at those two states and kind of building their AI governance programs around the requirements for those two states. Um,
Are they building on privacy, or is it a larger remit around AI?
Yeah, it's a great point. So it's usually the privacy regulator that has the additional kind of charge of governing AI, but a broader purview, if you will. It kind of opens it up beyond just privacy issues, and also around anti-discrimination, around consumer protection, and around a lot of the other issues that AI raises. And then the other kind of in the U.S., the other organization to look out for is the U.S. FTC, because the Federal Trade Commission, because it is also, even though there's no new AI law, it's kind of using existing powers to put out guidance and take enforcement actions on companies that use AI irresponsibly.
Okay, so at least at this point, there are no laws or regulations on the books that govern, like, you can and cannot do this with AI.
Uh, in a horizontal way, in the federal government, no.
Fair enough. Um, I was wondering if you could also contrast this with what's happening in Europe. I imagine they're a little bit more ahead of the curve here.
But yeah, that's right. So in Europe, you have the AI Act, the EU AI Act, which is really a comprehensive kind of risk-based law that's already in effect, and it has three big parts, and two of them are already in effect. So the first one is prohibited uses. This is like social scoring or biometric use. Uh, those unacceptable uses are already banned in the EU.
Okay.
So that's already done. Then you also have some requirements on general purpose AI providers, which are mostly the big tech companies that actually provide these general purpose models. Those provisions are also in effect in the EU. The third piece of this is, regular organizations that want to use AI now have to think about whether their use case might constitute a high-risk use case. It could be something in financial services or healthcare, or something that has a significant kind of impact on the party that it's being used on. And so those high-risk rules are going to go into effect late 2026. And so organizations that are in Europe or that sell to Europe are having to prepare for that kind of deadline. There is a little bit of talk in Europe on either streamlining those rules or pushing them out a little bit, but nothing final from the EU regulators there. And that conversation is more about, when the rules will go into effect rather than if. And so we
Okay.
know that there's going to be kind of a robust regulation.
Interesting. So we're approaching this both from a privacy perspective, also a risk perspective. Is there another perspective or component that you can foresee maybe a few years down the line that we'll need to also address as AI becomes this transformative thing that we're here for?
Do you mean from a compliance perspective, or just more generally?
More from a regulation and legislation perspective.
Yeah, so I think that there's going to be a lot more focus on AI agents, especially those that interact directly with people. And you're already starting to see this in New York, that's passed last month, an AI companions bill. The concern there is that people are talking to AI systems thinking that they're human, And so the bill kind of requires those companies to make clear, or those agents to make clear, that you're not talking to a human, you're talking to a bot. And so I imagine there's going to be more regulation of those kinds of agents in the future.
It's a little frightening, just the 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 fidelity of how these bots have transformed just in the last couple of years. That's maybe a separate conversation.
For sure.
Shifting perspectives here, how can global organizations navigate these different regulatory and legislative frameworks? What are you telling inquirers there?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few different ways that organizations have been addressing this framework. So first is what I call the highest common denominator approach. So you take the EU AI Act and you kind of apply it to all of your operations. It's pretty easy then to report out to California, Colorado, wherever else you are. And so organizations that don't want to kind of have multiple AI governance programs internally generally take that approach. The other approach is kind of the bifurcated approach, where you wall off your US customer data and your US
Okay.
AI systems, and you kind of, that's your innovation area. And then you wall off your EU operations and try to keep those super compliant with the AI Act and the GDPR.
Is that a common approach with a lot of data compliance laws?
Yeah, so I think because of GDPR, organizations are already used to this challenge, right? Where the EU kind of races ahead with a more robust regulation,
Okay.
and then you have kind of California maybe taking some steps in that direction. And so it does in many ways mirror the data privacy conversation. And organizations that want to kind of straddle both of these approaches can also look at international standards. So there's an ISO standard called 42001, which is really focused on kind of how to manage AI systems. Aligning with that generally, helps you report out into any of these regulatory regimes.
All right. Close us out with some thoughts around the specific AI governance challenges that organizations can expect, if not now, then say 2 or 3 years down the line.
Yeah, so I already talked about the challenge of kind of agentic AI governance. I think that it's going to be kind of a bigger theme in the next few years. To date, we've really been focused on auditing what AI systems saw when they made a decision. What data did they have? How did they make that decision? We're also going to have to audit now how they act as they make more autonomous decisions within organizations. We're going to have audit trails of how they're acting. And then one other kind of major area that I think we're going to have to pay a lot more attention to is copyright and IP. The way that this is getting kind of hashed out is in the courts. And so you had the first few court cases and first major decisions come through in 2023, 2024. We've now had kind of courts weigh in on a lot of the major copyright decisions, and you have different rulings in different parts of the world. And so organizations are going to have to track not just their AI use and whether it's compliant, but also the provenance of their information. Did their model train on copyrighted information, and kind of monitor all of these different court cases and legal developments as well.
All right. Well, Var, thanks so much for the insights on the challenges around governance, but also the future of what we can expect there. Really appreciate you doing News Desk today.
Thanks, Terry, and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
We've been talking with Var Shankar, Counsel on AI Governance. This is Terry Sweeney for AI Business News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll see you next time.